Hello everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. Hope you guys are all doing well. Some transfer news. So it'll be a quick one, but it's just been reported by Hand of Ozil, one of the actually more reliable Twitter people I actually follow and just watch. But he's tweeted out that apparently Arsenal have made Rodrygo the #1 winger target. Now Rodrygo has been linked with Arsenal throughout the whole summer, and for me, to be honest, I really did put the back burner up just because of the fact that, look, you're trying to sign a Real Madrid player, okay, who's going to be expensive, who is not that keen on leaving, and a club who really doesn't want to sell him. So when those two things mix, usually the player doesn't leave, okay? And with Arsenal, that just means 100% the player's not going to leave. But the Hand of Ozil, the reports are now saying that apparently Arsenal have made the #1 target, Rodrygo. And that's brilliant news. Brilliant news. Rodrygo is a world class is a bit too far, but he's a top player, okay? He's a brilliant player. And with Rodrygo, he will elevate our attack by 1,000. He will tenfold our attack. He is such a good winger. He has been playing out of position and he's been pulling up numbers. I think this season has probably been one of his best numbers. And considering he has been doing that on the right wing, imagine him on the left in his more preferred position. You know, it would elevate our attack. And Arteta has mentioned it a lot of times, and we've seen it as well. That the game is fine margins, okay? And clearly, Arsenal need to improve that. When you're talking about fine margins, you can't unfortunately be relying on inconsistent players, and that is why our attack is. Bar Saka, the rest of them are very inconsistent. And you know, if you're going to that route of, you know, Arteta constantly talks about fine margins, you cannot be doing that with players who are inconsistent. It just doesn't work. It just contradicts everything you talk about. Like you talk about fine margins, the game being decided by little things, and you're now relying on inconsistent players. So Rodrygo clearly is a player that can change that. He's a player that has played at the top level. He knows what it takes to win, and he's a top player, and he will, like I said, he will elevate our attack. Now, the main question, do I think it's going to happen? For me, this is a deal. Out of 10, I am saying this is a 4 out of 10. Now, a lot of fans might disagree. A lot of fans might say I'm being negative. I'll tell you why. Firstly, Rodrygo is not a player who is very keen on leaving. I think he's a player that if the opportunity comes, he might be open to it, but I think he wants to stay at Real Madrid. It's the biggest club. It doesn't get bigger than that. And Real Madrid 100% don't want to sell him. And like I said, with Arsenal's, you know, transfer policy and the way we move in transfers, we are one of the slowest club. I mean, flipping 2 seasons ago, we were on like last season, the year before that, we've been talking about, how long have we been talking about Nico Williams? Still, here we are. Where is Nico Williams? He's still not at Arsenal. So we have a history of trying to chase players who clearly don't want to leave, players who are clearly in clubs they're comfortable at, and we end up wasting our time. So for me, look, it's going to be one of those transfers. If it does happen, it's going to be a transfer that's going to happen very late on at the window, because especially Real Madrid have the Club World Cup, so they are clearly not keen on selling him. And considering Arsenal's speed in moving transfers, this is going to be a very, very slow transfer if it does happen. But yeah, like I said, I'd be very excited if it happens, but I don't know. I just feel like it's one of those other transfers that we're just going to see of Arsenal being clearly linked heavily, and at the end probably might not sign. I could be wrong. Hopefully I am wrong, because if we do sign him, could you imagine that attack of Sesko, Saka and Rodrygo miles above our front three? Because right now, to be honest, the way the other clubs are moving, Man United getting Mbeumo potentially, Gyökeres potentially, our attack is going down in that pecking order. You could argue we have one of the worst attacks in the top 6, and he literally gets carried because of Saka. That just shows you how much of a top player he is, and we need to take the burden off him. We have to take the burden off him by getting top players in attack that can elevate that, that can reduce the pressure on him, you know, that can reduce the amount of reliance we have on him, where if he's not having a top performance, the other players can step up. Because right now, when Saka's not performing, let's be honest, it's wraps for the game. We're not winning. So for me, I would love this signing. Whether it happens, I don't know. It's probably going to be one of those deals that we have to wait till the end of the window to see. But yeah, that's just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. Do you think we're going to get him? Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.